Hello everyone, and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Paris for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the round 1 match between Chumbeque, who is essentially on MonoWhite Hate Bears, versus Splashcat, who is playing a 5-color, it's kind of hard to describe, but a 5-color Leyline Alignment Field, which is a land which has 2 in tap, add Wooburg, where Wooburg is the number of colors among cards in your graveyard, essentially. So you essentially aim to use it to drop a Wooburg card early, and then double ramp on turn 3 into some powerful 5-drops. And it's a very powerful cheatsy deck. So far, Chumbeque is led off with Unlikeliest Heroes, which I think is there as a mana sink that doesn't require you to cast spells, and also just kind of a flexible 1-drop. Tal, who's one of our better hate bears, a flying body plus the ability to tax is really good. Unfortunately, taxes a certain type, which can sometimes be an issue. And as we see coming in there, Splashcat is able to pith wield it because Chumbeque named sorcery and not instant. So Chumbeque has another Tal, unfortunately, for Splashcat, coming down, once again naming sorcery. Let's check Splashcat's list to see what sorceries they're pulling up with. They have 17 of them, which is the largest number, makes sense. A bunch of cantrips in the form of Unquenched Greed, some wipes in Singularity's Grasp and Cosmic War, and then they basically just have some cheatsy spells with Answer Midnight's Call, False Vitality. Recall Forgotten Aeons is just a good ramp essentially a good ramp spell and target. It's kind of the joke is that Recall Forgotten Aeons is our format's Uro. It's 1 green and a blue for draw 2 cards and may play an additional land this turn, and you can flash it back for 7, except it flashes back as a 5/6 creature. So very powerful. And wow, okay. Splashcat being like, oh, you have 2 copies of Tal? Well, I got 2 pith wilds. So, and Unlikeliest Heroes coming in clutch with these Sunrise Prairies, being able to allow it to buff up. But yeah, really the idea is if Splashcat can stabilize and get something like a Glitch Galactic Muse, or let's say resolve a Conflux Ravager, they could be in the clear. They also have some good number of wipes, but Chumbeque just needs to try and aggressively get under whatever Splashcat's doing. So you're going to play Tiny Heroine Tati, a 3-mana planeswalker that was recently added to the format. The inability for opponents to search a library on the static is very powerful, and you can just +2 her up to 5, and then next turn -4 to search any hate bear in your deck. So Chum's targets for this are Ethereum Aggregator, which essentially turns off ETBs, Tals, which we've already seen, and essentially just those 2, which is a little bit of a limited selection, especially since Tal is legendary, so you can't exactly just get multiple Tal copies. I think Ethereum Aggregator does shut off Maelstrom Wanderer, but there's still the Planeswalkers to contend with. Stopping ETBs doesn't stop counters being put on Planeswalkers, right? I'm pretty sure that isn't the case. Okay, so, sorry, not Maelstrom Wanderer, Conflux Ravager, which Splashcat is now going to cycle. So for the first time, Splashcat does not actually have the interaction. So it's going to play the Mirror Gate, presumably, it's just going to name the Sunrise Plains, because Sunrise Plains is the only non-basic land in Chumbeque's deck. So, makes sense. Splashcat is now missing only red, because Mirror Gate essentially doubles up on any of these. So maybe they're just trying to do this to next turn have double blue for an Answer Midnight's Call or something similar. And Chumbeque has the natural Ethereum Aggregator, and then -4 find a Tal, name sorcery once again. That could be the line right here. But yeah, Splash already at almost half their life total with only this Unlikeliest Hero. So if Chumbeque manages to put the pressure on a little bit more, which I think 4 damage in the air is getting a second Ethereum Aggregator? I'm a little confused by this. This as opposed to a Tal. If it turns off Planeswalkers, then I can see it, but I'm not. I guess this turns off Root Warper, Jobaya, Conflux Ravager, but I feel like okay, yeah, and so the prediction was right. It is getting double blue for the Answer Midnight's Call, But Chumbeque with the judicial verdict, coming in with that spicy white counterspell, essentially Mana Tithe for one more. We also have strictly better Mana Tithe / Force Spike in Invalidate, which Chumbeque is also running. It's blue and a white hybrid Mana Tithe. So they haven't really come up as much right here, but Chumbeque, I think, is looking to maybe not even intentionally, but is proving a point about even if the color break or bend seems innocuous, it can lead to powerful results. And yeah, Chumbeque swinging in for a whopping 6 there. Splash is dead next turn unless they can get something on the board. Chumbeque is close to being out of cards, though. And oh my god, a third Ethereum Abrogator. So this might be, unless Chumbeque's last card is a counterspell, this could be overextending, honestly. And even with a counterspell, Singularity's Grasp X equals 1 just domes all of the Abrogators. So if Chumbeque has literally a counterspell here, they're fine. Otherwise, this could quickly swing in Splash's favor, especially since Splash still has 6 cards in hand. And it could if they get like a good land, could Coalesce Answer Midnight's Call later on. And there's a Leyline Alignment field, which can now generate 5 mana, so Splash has access to 6 mana right here. Gonna get the full Wooburg. Also, goddammit, I always forget that this is symmetrical, so actually playing the Ethereum Abrogator first was maybe a mistake by Chumbeque, because you would... Oh no, actually, I don't remember if Chumbeque had to play it that turn, but... Because I just realized the reason that Chumbeque fetched the second Abrogator instead of a Tal is because Abrogator would turn off Tal's ETB of choosing a card type. So yeah, I always forget this card's symmetricality ends up affecting some stuff. So Whisperwood's Exploration is an interesting cast here. It looks like Splashcat is going to go for another Answered Midnight's Call. Maybe a little... Oh no. And Chumbeque has the Invalidate. The last card was the Counterspell. And Splashcat had the crazy mana generation. They just didn't have the payoff for it and needed to Whisperwoods for it. So that was, I think, everything lined up perfectly for Chumbeque there. And in a clean fashion takes game 1. Let's look at sideboarding for future games to see what Splashcat could maybe do. Because they're definitely teched out for aggro match 1. So looking at Splashcat's sideboard, I think Head of Ulco is really for going way over the top. Tenacious Guide, are you that scared of the counterspells that you want to bring in Tenacious Guide? I'm not sure. Dispel, Neutralize, both seem not super great here. Bahum is quite good versus aggro decks. The -2 exiling Ethereum Abrogators is a fun time, and then you can just keep plussing to gain life. Face the Dawn is another maybe bring in here. Stand is good versus aggro. Singularity's Grasp. Yeah, I'm not sure what the bring in here would be, but I'd assume some number of maybe a Bahum, a Face the Dawn, and a Sing's Grasp. And I'm not sure if the deck is fast enough to warrant bringing in stands, but I think the stands are more for if you really need to overboard, like for a blue-red burn. I think it's really just survive and then you win, so stands are really good there. So let's check out Chumbeque's sideboard. But yeah, I think it's just hard for me to evaluate. I just don't know what Splash could bring in, because it depends on how they evaluate the matchup. Is it more aggressive, or do I care more about Chumbeque's interaction? So here, Paragon of Honor is an easy bring-in here. Shikai's Readout as well. So I think those are the 2 easy bring-ins from Chumbeque, because Paragon shuts off Answer, Shikai's shuts off Leyline Alignment Field, and that's about it. Okay, so getting into Game 2, Splashcat is going to be opening up with one of our Tri-lands, Verdant Dominion. Chumbeque starting off Game 2 the same as they did Game 1, Unlikeliest Heroes. And honestly, I think that's a fair assessment of them, because most people were assuming that they would be too slow for MSEM, but just being a good white 1-drop really saved Chumbeque Game 1. But it looks like Splashcat did bring in the Stand Unassailable. I wasn't expecting that, but it looks like Splashcat might have done the full transformation into anti-aggro. Chumbeque curving into the Ethereum Abrogator and is going to look to put a small little dent in Splashcat's life total, trying to bring it back to the starting life total. Okay, Splash going to play Grim Bastion tapped and then pass. I don't know what instance this leaves them with. I think this is just saying I don't have a turn to play, because I don't think neither Whisperwoods nor Pithwold can be played off this mana. I don't think they have any other instants that are relevant. So yeah, okay, so it's going to take 4 from now buffed Unlikeliest Heroes plus Ethereum Abrogator. Chumbeque has 2 mana up for potential counter magic. So I don't think that Splashcat could, if they wanted to force out the counter magic, but then likely wait a turn if they wanted to just Windmill Slam and answer Midnight's Call right here. Or a Singularity's Grasp X equals 2, let's say. So fetches with the Grim Force with the Grim Bastion, going to play a Nebula of Empty Gold from their hand. Going to pay 2 to get blue and a white. Okay. And no, okay, they're just Windmill Slamming the answer. I think Windmill Slamming the answer Midnight's Call there was a bad play with Chumbeque having 5 cards in hand and 2 mana open. Like, what were you expecting? Unless Splashcat has another and is just hoping to brute force through, or if Splash doesn't have a 5th land. But yeah, that was a super telegraphed invalidate there. Or unless Splashcat somehow gets a 7 mana next turn off like a Leyline Alignment Field. I don't think that's even possible. Yeah, I think that's legitimately impossible, because they need 7 mana for stand unassailable is what I was thinking, but they just can't do that. And Chumbeque now has knocked Splashcat below their starting life total, has them on a 4-turn clock, but 4 turns is a lot for a deck like Splashcat. So Chumbeque is really going to need to have the interaction here. And okay, he's going to try the Bahum, but it eats another invalidate. Yeah, not great. It looks like Splash did not have that 5th land, so it was just trying to desperation slam the answer Midnight's Call. And I think the main thing is Splash needs more lands, because the thing that they get, like the thing that they get from having more time is the ability to find more lands and then Windmill Slam something that goes over the top. Chumbeque is going to play Guard of Cuirassiers, which is actually a card that he himself designed and got through the MSEM Masters 3 bonus sheet. An efficient hate bear that essentially only really taxes hard control decks, but it's still an interesting addition nonetheless. It's also really bad if Chumbeque has a 3rd invalidate. So I think Guard of Cuirassiers actually seems like a big non-bow with Chumbeque's own suite of counter magic, but we'll see. So that might make so Splashcat is Splashcat is going to Windmill Slam a 2nd answer Midnight's Call, and Chumbeque doesn't have an answer, and here's Velir. Could -5, like all of these modes are great. I think the -3 just ends the game for Chumbeque, because I don't think Chumbeque has a way to get around it. Yeah, it's going to -3, drop the Elemental. Does Chumbeque have a removal that can actually deal with this? Well, actually has Disseminate, so could use that. And as I say it, yeah, has Disseminate. So Disseminates the Elemental and can now swing to the Guard of Cuirassiers plus Ethereum Abrogator at this, and then Unlikeliest Heroes at face, or just Ostracize. I think that this might. No, actually, I can see the logic here, because Chumbeque's thought is, if Splash doesn't have a Pithwilt, I win next turn, because this way I get to swing 7 at face, and then Splashcat just dies if they don't. But I think that the problem is this is really risky versus a Pithwilt, because if Splash just plays a Pithwilt on your Ostracizer Orb, then they get back Velir and then can immediately create another token, and this time they know to keep up mana for Disseminate. Oh no, okay, he's going to play... Oh, that's even worse. Conflict's Ravager, destroy... Oh, yeah, I really think the safer play for Chumbeque there was to just kill the Velir normally instead of using the Ostracizer Orb. And now this is back from a potentially winning situation for Chumbeque to... It's even with Splashcat at 5 life, it's looking like a lost game. Notably, so what happens is Splashcat has to -3, or actually any of these modes are fine, actually. But the main thing is, if they -3, Chumbeque can just flashback Disseminate. So they need, And if they -5 and they don't have another creature, it's a risk because if they don't have another creature, they just lose on the spot. Okay, so looks like they meant they're gonna +2 Velier on Ethereum Abrogator. Oh wait, never mind. I'm on a hot streak of forgetting Ethereum Abrogator. So Ostracizer Orb is an artifact, so it's ETB triggers. Ethereum Abrogator stops the Conflux Ravager ETB, which means that Splashcat just loses on the spot because Chumbeque just flashes back Disseminate and swings for 7. I really need to get better at remembering that this card stops ETBs. But yeah, that's just game. And Chumbeque takes it in a clean 2-0 over Splashcat with MonoWhite Hate Bears. I think the thing is, like, Splash's deck was really teched out for aggro, but Chumbeque just had the interaction and like a great curve to stymie the big mana style of Splash. Splash did also run into some counter spells, but I'm assuming they were just trying to brute force because they didn't have the 5th land. Still, good games to both players, and I'm really excited to see because Splashcat has been tuning and really working on the 5-color Velier / Leyline Alignment field deck. And meanwhile, Chumbeque is coming in with a new brew that MonoWhite Hate Bears has been talked about, but not really like played in a GP to any serious extent. And also, Chumbeque's playing with some of the new cards from MS3. So I think that like it's showing like 2 interesting sides of the spectrum, and I'm excited to see how these decks do later on in Grand Prix Paris. But yeah, until next time, this is Caillou. Thanks for watching, and